Being able to live an independent life is a blessing for many. This boy with Down syndrome approached a Queen's Guard. The soldier's response was startling. Sam couldn't believe the life he was living. There was a time when he didn't know if he would ever be independent. Now, he was living with friends, and he was even having an adventure. When deciding where to go, there was one place that he really wanted to explore. That was Windsor Castle. It had stunning architecture, guards, and even soldiers. Even more important was the personal connection he had with that place. And now he was walking around the castle with some guides who also happened to be part of the Queen's Guard. It was an incredible experience already, and they had only started. They warned him that he shouldn't try and get the guards' attention. These guards were not allowed to react, but it seems they were allowed to do something else. Something that was going to shock Sam and freak him out. Only minutes later, he would be seen running away from the guard. What happened? And why were they even filming Sam in these moments? It started when he was a young child. Sam and his brother Jack always loved to play in the old ruins behind their home, playing like they were soldiers or going on an adventure. Sam was the older brother, but Jack was super protective of his big brother. There were times when people treated Sam differently because he had Down syndrome, but Jack was just his buddy, and they had loads of fun together. They grew up and stayed best friends, but their lives took them in different directions when they grew up. Sam had a lot of dreams for his future. He wanted to study, he wanted to find love, and he wanted to live independently. Simple dreams for many, but it could be a challenge for him. He did well in school, and he was admitted to college. He couldn't stay with his parents. It was too far from home to commute. They were nervous about how students who weren't used to his special needs would react to him. Even more worrying was wondering if he would be able to look after himself and his own home. He struggled with cleaning and remembering to do his groceries. They were torn between allowing him to live his life and be independent and protecting him, but it wasn't their choice to make. Then they found a wonderful opportunity. They heard of a house that was going to be filled with young people who had intellectual disabilities but who wanted to live a life separated from their families. People with Down syndrome become adults, but for their families, it isn't always easy to let go of the care and the control. They feel like it is keeping them safe, but it could be keeping them back from living a full life. Living in a house filled with friends who understand your challenges may be the best thing for them. They would feel understood, and they could expand their circle. The family was even more reassured because they would have support workers coming in to check on the young ones and help them in the areas that they struggled with. Sam, for example, would get help in cleaning and shopping. It was the perfect setup. Sam was going to move out and have some independence. He was even more excited to have freedom because it was the first time he would be able to have fun and party a bit. You see, Sam was a self-professed ladies' man, but he hadn't had too much experience in relationships. Now, out of the watchful eyes of his parents, he got to experience more relationships with women. He loved studying, even if he would rather be working in his dream job as a barman. But life was great. He loved his new housemates, and then things were going to get even sweeter. They decided to create a show called The Specials. It was a show that helped to normalize people with learning disabilities living full and wonderful lives. It shed some light on people living with Down syndrome in particular, the challenges they face, and also the lives they lead in general. But more importantly, it showed the individual journey of Sam and his housemates. Getting to see their journey, which was filled with challenges and triumphs, fascinated the audience watching the show. It was an incredible show that even won awards because it was as special as the people starring in it. For the first season, they decided to do experiences and trips that were special to them. When it came time for the episode about Sam's life, he knew exactly where he wanted to go. He wanted to visit Windsor Castle. The castle has an incredible history that spans thousands of years. It has been the home to the reigning monarchs in England since the 12th century. Even the late Queen Elizabeth II stayed there often. It is an incredibly grand palace that attracts people from all over the world. It made sense that these young British adults wanted to visit this incredible landmark. But for Sam, it was even more special because it had a close connection to him. He wanted to go there to see one special person that he hadn't seen in a very long time. This trip was another pivotal moment in their journey to independence. They traveled from Brighton, where their house was, and they were super excited. As they toured the ground of the castle, they were delighted to come across a pair of soldiers working in the castle. Sergeant Megan Moore and Lieutenant Brander became their guides on the grounds, and their knowledge and skills were amazing. But there was one experience that Sam was eager to have. He really wanted to see members of the Queen's Guard. He wanted to have some sort of interaction with one of these soldiers, but his guides warned him that the guards, who had the iconic fur hats on their heads, were supposed to remain stoic and they weren't allowed to engage with visitors. The only movement you would even see was when they came to attention. Many people tried to get the guard to react, and it just doesn't happen. Despite these warnings, Sam was still super excited. He even wanted to know if there were any battles that he could watch. The guides were playful and laughed, and their engaging way got the young adults even more excited. The guard had his fur hat pulled down over his face. You could see very little of his face, but he still made an imposing figure, standing there so stoically and keeping the castle safe. Sam couldn't visit the castle without getting a picture next to the sentry. He went to stand next to him, but he never would have imagined what would happen next. The boy with Down syndrome approached a Queen's Guard. The soldier's response was startling. Sam stood next to the guard, and of course, he did not acknowledge him at all. Then, suddenly, without warning, the guard moved, and he stomped his foot on the ground, hard. His sudden movement scared Sam, and he freaked out, running away. Laughing, he stood to the side and looked back at the guard. The guard was coming to attention, but his foot stomp was a lot more sassy than you would expect. For Sam, it felt like the guard was telling him to move away and keep his distance. It was a fun little moment that completely took Sam off guard, but he didn't even know the most important part of the joke. The guard wasn't telling him to move away. Instead, the playful stomping of the foot was a way to tease the boy and also to acknowledge him. The only way that the guard could say hello. This was important because Sam knew the guard very well. He was shocked. The sentry was awesome because he looked so cool, but he was also awesome because he was someone that Sam loved very much. This was not a random guard. It was also Sam's first friend, his best friend, and his baby brother, Jack, the same brother that he had played soldier with as a young boy. Sam knew that Jack was a soldier and that he was also in the Queen's Guard. He also knew that his younger brother was working at Windsor Castle. So, when he got the chance to visit, he was excited to explore the castle and possibly see his brother. He hadn't seen him for a very long time. He missed him terribly. Jack was the younger brother, but he always had the best advice, and Sam needed that at the moment. He hoped he could see his brother, but he never expected that he would interact with him while he stood on guard as a sentry. It was very cool. His brother couldn't give him any more attention, so he would have to wait until later. His brother had been gone for a long time because of his enlistment in the army, so it was a very special moment when the brothers were reunited in the guards' barracks. It was special that they were allowed to do this. Everyone around them had tears in their eyes seeing the brothers hug. They held on to each other for a while, and the love between them was beautiful to see. They might have been separated for a while, but their bond remained unchanged. Despite the fright Jack gave his big brother earlier, now they could joke about the moment and speak about it. Jack was excited to hear about Sam's experience touring the castle grounds, and Sam loved sharing the experience with him. But it all kept coming back to the fact that he missed his baby brother a lot. Sam needed some advice. Despite liking many ladies, Sam was on a journey to true love too. And he wanted a family. And despite his big talk about being a ladies' man, he confided in his brother that he was on a quest to find love. Jack understood more than anyone that someone with Down syndrome can face extra challenges when searching for love. But there is no one that can understand you quite like a loving sibling, and this encounter gave Jack the opportunity to encourage Sam and support him. He could offer him some motivation, and his brother assured him that he would find love if that was something that he really wanted. Jack believed in him fully, and he knew that his brother could find the perfect relationship and the perfect woman for him. These beautiful moments encouraged Sam And when they left there, he had new hope that he could end up with the girl that he was already in love with. It turns out that he wasn't just dreaming about finding love with a random girl. He already had his eye on someone, and she was a lot closer than you would imagine. When they left Windsor Castle that day, he was determined to win her over. Sam had feelings for one of his housemates. Megan was one of the girls living in the house. She also had Down syndrome, and this was her first experience at independence too. Megan was a young woman who loved singing and dancing. She needed help with writing and handling money, like buying things and getting the right change. Sam and Megan had a lot in common, and they quickly became really good friends, and they got to know each other well while living together. The amazing experience at Windsor gave Sam the courage to go for it, and the two of them started dating soon after. Fans of the show were delighted when the two of them became close, and they showed their new relationship in the show. Of course, it wasn't all sunshine and roses. There were many challenges to learning a new relationship in love. Young love always has challenges, and theirs was no different. As sweet as they were, there were some problems, like a jealousy issue they explore in the show. Sam liked to flirt with girls, and they had to work on setting boundaries that both were happy with. Despite the challenges, the couple grew closer with each show, and their bond turned into something special. They went on holiday together and even met each other's families. And a few years later, something special was going to happen. They had known each other for a long time and had been dating for years. It also helped that they lived together from the moment they met. They knew what they were getting into. Plus, with both having Down syndrome, they understood each other and their challenges. Fans were delighted with a new video on the show's social media channel where the two announced that they were getting married. Sam had proposed, and Megan was happy to accept. It was such a sweet love story, and because the audience was part of it from the start, it felt like their friends getting married. Everyone was excited. The couple shared wedding planning adventures and included their families in the process. It made sense. It was Sam's family that first helped encourage him that he would be able to have and maintain a love story and relationship. But they also shared it with their fans, who loved to see their happiness. The specials weren't just a show, it became a voice for all those who were different. It showed they could have full lives and happiness, and they could even have a romantic love story. Sadly, they ran out of funding after 2 seasons, and they couldn't make more episodes of the show. But they still share pieces of their lives on the show's social media pages. As recently as the beginning of the year, the happy couple shared New Year's wishes on the Facebook page. They were still together and still looking like the perfect couple. It was so sweet, and fans were delighted by the update. The show gave a platform to many other families, and they had a big impact on their community, and Sam and Megan got an epic love story out of it. That is for sure worth it. Thanks for watching. Join us again for even more incredible stories.